Jordan Thompson versus Jai OPETAIA was a super interesting fight psychologically because Jordan Thompson got the win in the 4th round and he dominated this fight against the much bigger man. So he retains his IBF and Ring Magazine Cruiserweight titles. But what was so interesting for me about this fight psychologically was the way in which you had the much bigger man, Jordan Thompson. He looks like a heavyweight in there. He's 6'7". He just looked bigger, stronger. He's more muscular. He looked like Deontay Wilder against a cruiserweight, Jai OPETAIA, who you can't see competing at heavyweight. He doesn't have the height, the frame, the muscularity, all of those things. He's a cruiserweight. Jordan Thompson really probably could be a heavyweight. But it was Jai OPETAIA that was the more aggressive fighter. And that's what made it so interesting psychologically. It was the smaller man who actually set out to impose his will psychologically on the opponent. Because from the opening bell, Jai OPETAIA came out a lot more aggressively. And there'd been talk before the fight that it would be Jordan Thompson who had the best chance to win in the first 6 rounds, and Jai OPETAIA's best chance was going to be later in the fight when Jordan Thompson gassed out. But rather than try and box on the back foot and let Jordan Thompson come forward, Jai OPETAIA came forward and he was using his mobility. He was in and out, in and out, in and out. Jordan Thompson couldn't hit him at all, even though he had the much longer arms, and you could see that. But he was very robotic. He was trying to time his shots. He wasn't punching with enough volume. And Jai OPETAIA's movement, he was on the balls of his feet, moving in and out, and Jordan Thompson just couldn't get anywhere near him. But Jai OPETAIA wasn't backing up and boxing around the ring and trying to score a points victory. It was clear from the first round he was trying to hurt Jordan Thompson and get the knockout and get him out of there. Because whenever he came forward, he was being very aggressive. He was throwing vicious shots. And Jordan Thompson, from about the final minute of the first round, the sort of turning point of the fight came very early on. In the final minute of the first round, Jordan Thompson got caught up against the ropes, and Jai OPETAIA managed to unload a flurry of punches on him. And you could tell right then that Jordan Thompson he was intimidated, basically. He didn't want to fire any punches back. He didn't throw anything back. He sort of turtled, and Jordan Thompson, even though he was the stronger man, he didn't throw anything back that worried Jai OPETAIA. And Jai OPETAIA, you could sort of tell at the end of that round, he looked over at Jordan Thompson when he was on the way back to his corner, as if to say, okay, you are not on my level in terms of aggression, in terms of movement, and in terms of really just wanting to get down in the trenches and win this fight. And you could tell that Jai OPETAIA took a lot of confidence from that. And he wanted to go out there and he wanted to impose his will on his opponent. And he did that throughout the rest of the fight. So ultimately, he was able to knock Jordan Thompson down heavily in round 3 and then finish the fight at the very beginning of round 4. So effectively, even though officially this fight was a 4-rounder, it was really pretty much over at the end of 3 rounds, because you could tell in the corner Jordan Thompson was feeling sorry for himself between rounds 3 and round 4. It looked like by that point, he didn't want to be in there. And it's a real shame because he had the physical tools, being bigger, being stronger, having longer arms, and you could tell that Jordan Thompson has power when he let his hands go. So the shame of this fight is that he boxed so robotically, he could have come out, and I think with this fight, it wasn't really about a lack of physical tools, because Jordan Thompson had all of the physical advantages. I think where Jai OPETAIA won this fight was in 2 areas. One, his in and out movement is very good, which made it very difficult for Jordan Thompson to hit him. But I think the biggest thing was Jai OPETAIA was the mentally stronger fighter in this fight, in the sense that he was prepared to come forward and he took the fight to Jordan Thompson, whereas Jordan Thompson backed off. And even when leather started flying and punches started coming in from Jai, Jordan Thompson wasn't firing back because he basically wanted to maintain his defensive guard and not get hit. He wasn't, in this particular fight, willing to risk taking punches in order to get the victory. I think he was just intimidated by Jai OPETAIA's aggression. Now, this is something that Jordan Thompson will of course be able to work on going forward. He's only in his first 12-round fight, and he has all of the physical tools to succeed. So it's not as though his career is done by any means. He was fighting arguably the top cruiserweight in the world, so I'm sure we'll see Jordan Thompson come back and perform much better than this in the future. But in this particular fight, Jai OPETAIA was just the mentally stronger, tougher, superior fighter who managed to impose his will on his opponent. And it just shows you that boxing, more than anything, really is about psychology. Because Jordan Thompson had all of the physical tools. He was the bigger guy. And when you stand these two next to each other at the weigh-in, you think, wow, he's going to win this fight. If you'd never seen either of them before, you didn't know anything about boxing, you just showed them to random people in the street, they would say Jordan Thompson is the bigger, more intimidating man. But Jai OPETAIA managed to impose his will on him psychologically and intimidate him. And that was the biggest deciding factor in this fight, followed by Jai OPETAIA's superior movement ability. So with all of that said, I think Jordan Thompson has the tools to rebuild and come back from here, but he's not ready right now to win a world cruiserweight title. Jai OPETAIA made a strong statement tonight that he's the #1 guy in the division, but we still need to see him in there against the other champions, because at the end of the day, he had a very impressive victory tonight, and he had a very impressive victory over Maris Bradis. But before that, he only has these 2 fights on his record. So really still, it was going to be very exciting to see how he matches up against some of the other champions, Richard Riakporhe, Chris Billam-Smith, even Lawrence Okolie potentially, if he's able to win one of the belts back. All of these fights could be very exciting, and also whoever wins the WBC belt. So there's a lot of interesting fights, but I will say this. If Jai OPETAIA continues to have impressive performances like this, it's not going to be long before challengers are having to go to Australia and fight him in his home country. And instead of him having to travel to the UK and go there because basically the events are bigger at this stage, he's going to be the one that people are having to go and fight in Australia. Because if he keeps performing like this, eventually, with the right promotion, the right marketing, he's going to end up being a huge star because he has all the ability in the world in the ring to be the #1 guy in this division. Whether he can fulfill that by collecting all of the belts, we'll see. But give it a couple of years of performances like this, another 2, 3, 4 years competing at this level, and you will see Jai OPETAIA selling out stadiums in Australia, and people will be traveling to fight him. And the thing with the cruiserweight division right now is it's wide open. Now is the best time to be a cruiserweight because you don't have someone like Usyk who's so dominant in the division that he's just clearing out all of the other champions. And a lot of the guys who were in that tournament with Usyk, so even Gassiev, he's moved up to heavyweight. Usyk's moved up to heavyweight. Maris Bradis, he's lost now to Jai OPETAIA, so you have a new generation of cruiserweights. Now, that's not to say that Maris Bradis can't come back, but you have a new generation of cruiserweights coming through now, and we're going to see who's the best out of these guys. It's super exciting, and because they don't have the high profile, it means that hopefully these fights can actually get made, and at the end of it, you're going to see some big stars emerge, I think, whether that be Jai OPETAIA or someone else, or multiple people, but Jai OPETAIA made a strong case tonight. 3-4 years of this, and he's going to be the one selling out stadiums in Australia. His aggression, his movement, everything was super impressive. At the end of the fight, he called out Chris Billam-Smith, who was on commentary. That would be interesting. It looks like also Chris Billam-Smith against Lawrence Okolie, a rematch of that fight might be happening as well. So we'll have to wait and see who Jai OPETAIA fights next. But the bottom line is whoever it is going to have a lot of work cut out for them in order to win this fight. So whatever happens going forward, the cruiserweight division is one of the most exciting in boxing because #1, you've got a lot of young, hungry, talented fighters who are looking to make a name for themselves. But #2, these fights, these unification fights are actually getting made. And that's something that boxing needs, and it's happening here, hopefully soon, in the cruiserweight division. So exciting times for boxing, exciting times for the cruiserweight division. Jai OPETAIA, an exciting new face in the division. He's going to be a star in boxing if he keeps up performing like this. He's already well on his way. This was super impressive. As for Jordan Thompson, he can improve. He can come back. He's got all of the tools. He just needs to work on not being intimidated, basically, on his mental side of his game and being a bit more fluid in his movements. But Jordan Thompson still can come back. So let me know in the comments, after this performance, which of the other top cruiserweights do you think gives Jai OPETAIA the toughest challenge? If you could match him against anyone right now, which cruiserweight do you think has the best chance of beating him based on what we saw tonight? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to see what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. I'll be posting boxing videos just like this 7 days a week, previewing fights, making predictions, and giving my opinions on the latest news. I really appreciate all of your support, and until next time, I am Brendan on Boxing, signing out.